just get moving along right here. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I have the unrated director's cut. So for those of you that have seen this movie in theaters, this is a little bit different. Now what I mean by that is that it's a little bit longer. The ending is different, which is a key thing. I'm going to touch on that in a second, but oh man, this movie, if you haven't seen it, is fucking brutal. This movie is so brutal. I can't even begin to tell you how brutal it is. But you know, it's Rob Zombie. His movies tend to be a little gross, but I enjoyed the movie. I think that it was great that Zombie decided that, you know what, I shot this dude in the head. And I'm talking about Michael Myers. I shot him in the head in the last movie. He's dead. And Zombie did not want to do a sequel. So for him to come out and do a sequel and change it into his own thing, because he already did the homage, you know, he already paid his respects to John Carpenter. Now that he's got that out of the way, he's taken Halloween 2, and it's his Halloween 2. He's pretty much saying, fuck the boogeyman shit, I'm not doing that. You know, this is my movie, it's going to be my way or the highway, and I hope, and I'm guessing that he said that when he decided to do this, because the first words out of his mouth after he did the first one was that, I don't want to do a second one, I have no intentions. So for him to take it and put his own just unique spin on it, and really now Michael Myers, this Michael Myers is his Michael Myers. It's not John Carpenter's, it's Rob Zombie's. Is perfect as far as I'm concerned. However, like I said, Michael Myers is brutal in this movie. It's a little excessive in my book, just a little bit. You know, Michael's grunting and just, you know, going "Ugh!" when he's stabbing his victims, and it's ridiculously bloody and just graphic and
not for the faint-hearted.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty gross. What do you think?
I think, as the sequels go, in my opinion, a lot of sequels don't do nearly as well. And this one came very close to being as good as number one. Not quite there, but still, you know, the play with the, you know, the over gore. It was just too gory. It wasn't as suspenseful as the other one, you know. It was a lot more predictable, but it still gave you that Michael Myers is a very creepy, stalkery type of person, and he will find you no matter what you do. And it just gives you a good sense of his character and all. Especially, you know, how they play out all the characters, you know, as they lived through the first incident and now they have to go through a second one. It shows how their predicaments change and how their personalities have had to adapt and what they're living through, you know. The people who survived the first attempt, you know, they're pretty much bat mad. You know, they're going absolutely crazy, they're at psychiatric, they're taking pills, and they're still completely fucked up because you can't get over what happened to them.
Yeah, what he's saying is, for those of you that haven't seen it, and I'm sorry if I'm spoiling this for you, but Dr. Loomis is an asshole. That's how he's coping with it, with what happened in the first one. Laurie Strode is a drug addict and just is on the brink of insanity.
Kind of like a whiny bitch, though, in this one.
Yeah, but I mean, what are you going to do? Well, look what she went through in the first one. Annie Brackett is still in it, and she has to grow up. She's like the only character that really grows up in the movie. But that's because she's put in that position to where she has to become a mom figure to Laurie and just try and keep everyone together. And Sheriff Brackett even, you know, his hair grows and he's got a beard now, more of a beard, and he's just looking all raggedy, and you can tell this dude just was not prepared for what happened in the first one. I love how Rob Zombie did this, how he wrote it, because let's face it, for those of you that are horror fans, I'm sure you'll agree with me. Any other horror movie sequel before this one, you know, you got the first one, and then in the sequel, those that survived the first event, it's like nothing happened. You know, they're just going on with their lives. They're like, you know, yeah, this happened before, but, you know, we're okay, we're keeping it together. No, I'm sorry, but if you got some psycho, especially someone as big as Michael Myers, coming after you, and you manage to survive, you're not going to forget that. You're going to have a hard-ass time, you know, just getting over it. And he played that very well by having Laurie Strode going to see counselors, her being over-medicated, she can't cope. Loomis is an asshole. That's how he's coping. He's in denial. He's just completely fixated on the thought that Michael Myers is dead. So when he finds out that he's not, obviously it's a shocker to him, and he's like, oh my god, what have I done? Because while he's been living the high life, everyone else is still suffering. He's really the only one that really gets some sort of a life back, because he decides that he's going to write another book, and he's going to write about the events, what happened in the first movie, and he just doesn't care. He doesn't care how much money he's making. He doesn't care whose name he's trashing. He's just trying to make his life better and trying to make himself feel better, trying to distract himself from what happened in the first one. So I think Zombie did an excellent job there. I like the ending. What do you think about the ending?
I thought the ending really put a good closing to it. It was that whole, Mike Myers, he dies, and then, go spoiler, I guess. But then, they show that Laurie finally is accepted into, she goes crazy just like Michael Myers. She accepts, the Myers bloodline type of thing. And so she dies. And that almost puts on a small twist to it, because then you was like, I would have almost expected her to live through it all, see another day, maybe grow up. She's still completely crazy, but better than she was before. But in this one, it definitely shows that it doesn't have to be a normal horror movie ending. People don't get a happy ending in this movie, and they're not supposed to. I thought it was a good ending.
Yeah, I thought that he just, Zombie goes for the real. He doesn't go for the happy ending or the make-believe. He goes for the real. And that, as far as I'm concerned, that would probably be what really happened. But like he said in the ending, and this is a spoiler for those of you that have seen the theater one and haven't seen this one, or just haven't seen this one, period. Like he said, Michael Myers does die at the end. But he does in the theater version. I've seen the theater version. The main difference is that while Michael and Loomis die, in the theater version, Laurie doesn't die. And then there's the common misconception that the white hallway that she's in at the very end, and when she sees her mother in the white horse, that she's like in the hospital or she's been institutionalized. That's wrong, which is why I recommend that you rent this movie. You rent this version and watch it. I recommend it, because if you're confused leaving the theater, this will answer all your questions. Because what really happens is Laurie sees Michael die, she sees Loomis die, and then she, like Josh said, she accepts that she is a Myers. She is going insane. She goes completely insane, and she is getting ready to take up the mantle, so to speak, and become like Michael and start killing. But before she can do that, Trigger Happy Cop, shoots her. And at the end of this version, she dies. So that white hallway is her slowly dying, and we see her last thoughts, and that's her last thought right there, is the white horse and her mother, and then she dies. So at the end of Halloween 2, the director's cut, everyone is dead. I'm sorry if I'm ruining it for you, but somebody has to explain it, so I figured I might as well take my stab at it and see what I could do. I give this movie out of a 10. What'd I say, 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, I give it 6. It's not as good as the first one. It's, like Josh said, it's good. It's almost there, but it loses me on the excessive killings and
the over-gore.
Yeah, the over-gore and Michael grunting, and this is where me as a Halloween fan, and having seen all the other ones, where seeing Michael's face all the time, and especially when he's just a hobo. He's a scraggly, dirty hobo. I'm like, no, that's not working for me. So, but I will admit this, for those of you that don't know this, if you have seen the movie, the bouncer in the movie is the Geico Caveman. So if you've seen this movie, and you know what I'm talking about, then you know that the Geico Caveman, who is the bouncer at the strip club, picks a fight with Michael Myers. Now here are my key problems with that. First of all, it's the Geico Caveman. Why is the Geico Caveman in Halloween?
Why is he fighting someone who looks like a caveman?
Exactly. So, to me, that's funny. He's taunting him. He's like, yo, man, don't give me no reason. I'm sorry.
No reason.
What the fuck is that?